Hi, this is Jonathan from La Tienda. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite paellas. This is seafood paella. It's great for feeding a crowd. Let's start. This started as a humble dish where farmers would take a simple pan, some rice, and whatever they could find in the field, whether it be rabbits or snails or beans, and cook a nice midday meal. Since then, paella has become one of Spain's most popular dishes. It is something that can feed a crowd. It's really a way to bring people together. All right, let's get started. All right, today we're cooking over a paella burner. This is a propane burner and it attaches to your normal propane tank. It's adjustable so you can increase the heat or decrease. I think it's the best way to cook outside. And this is a carbon steel paella pan. It's 17 inches. This should be enough to feed 6 to 8 people or 4 or 5 really big eaters. First, I want to talk a little bit about ingredients. When our family started La Tienda in 1996, we couldn't find any good quality ingredients from Spain. So now we've collected some of the best, and it makes a huge difference in the quality of the paella. Short grain paella rice, really good extra virgin olive oil, authentic saffron from La Mancha. You'd be amazed the difference in flavor when you use the right stuff. All right, first I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. Right here I have this is fresh local rockfish, also called striped bass. I'm going to sear this in the pan, brown it a little bit, and then remove it so that it doesn't overcook. The nice thing about seafood paella is that you can use whatever is your favorite local seafood. We're lucky to be close to the Chesapeake Bay. We have great seafood here, so we experiment with different fish and shellfish. Now, if you're cooking with a fish, it's important that it be a firm white fish so it doesn't break up when you're cooking the paella. I'm going to add a little salt to this, some sea salt. Now, one tip that's important: before you start cooking with a paella, it's important to balance the pan, because you'll see once we put the broth into the pan, we want it to be balanced and flat. We don't want one side to have a lot of moisture or liquid and then the other side to be very thin. This way, if you have it flat, you'll be able to cook evenly. All right, I think it is done. We'll take this out and set it aside. All right, next we're going to add tomato. Now, I took some fresh summer tomatoes and pureed them this morning so that we can make something called a tomate frito. This is an intensified sauce you can cook right in the pan, and it adds a lot of flavor to your paella. It also adds a lot of the cooking liquid that the rice will cook in. Now, from the beginning, the fire underneath the pan is pretty high. We want a hot temperature. So this tomato is going to cook down for about 5 or 10 minutes until it thickens a little bit. All right, now that this is concentrating, I am going to add the star ingredient of paella. This is saffron from La Mancha. There's a big difference between quality saffron and regular grocery saffron, and you'll see it in the color and the flavor of the paella. I'm just going to take a little pinch, no more than like a half teaspoon. So you can see the beautiful saffron threads. They end up adding kind of a golden color and a nice aroma to your paella. So I'm adding it here to the tomate frito so it can start to kind of integrate into the flavors of the paella. Now I'm going to put some chopped garlic in here. Again, adding another level of flavor to the paella. It's going to cook in this delicious sauce. You can see the intensity of flavor going on here. We have the saffron, we have the tomato, we have great olive oil, some garlic. Now is the time where I want to add the paella rice. This is a special rice called bomba. It is a distinct breed of rice that is very dry and retains its shape even as it absorbs flavors. Because a key for paella is that you want each grain to be distinct. It's not something where you want a soft or mushy paella. You want it to absorb the flavors, but you can taste the paella in each grain. This recipe calls for basically a full bag of rice, which is about 4.5 cups, and I'm going to add it here. All right, so we're still at a pretty high heat. The tomate frito is now being mixed with the short grain paella rice. All right, now that the rice is nicely coated with the sofrito, I'm going to add in the broth. This broth is made by our friends in Spain at Navarrico. It is a seafood broth. It's really intensely flavorful, and it's kind of my shortcut to a really good paella. Look how rich that broth is. Now, once I get this rice stirred and evenly spread in the paella pan, a key thing is that we stop stirring. The rice starts to cook and absorb the broth, and it creates a little film over the top, which kind of seals in the flavor. And also, stirring while it's cooking, you'll end up with kind of a mushy paella, and nobody wants that. At this point, you'll see that the paella broth is bubbling nicely. You don't want it boiling or overcooking. In that case, you'll end up with a burnt rice on the bottom, which we all do not want. And we'll let it simmer for about 10 minutes before we start to consider adding the seafood into the paella. Now that the rice is happily bubbling away, I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of dry white wine. In this case, I have a delicious Albarino from Galicia. Yeah, I should mention that traditional paella recipes don't contain wine. I think it adds a nice brightness, kind of makes it my own recipe. You can add it if you like, try it out. If you don't like it, next time don't use it. But I kind of think that those farmers out in the rice fields, they probably had a bottle of wine. Maybe they tried it once or twice too. So this looks like about 1.5 cups. All right, just pour it on. This adds a little nice minerality. Of course, it all cooks off, so it doesn't add a strong alcohol flavor, but it's delicious. All right, now I'm going to add the seafood in, so it will cook right in this broth. I'm going to start with this delicious shrimp, harvested fresh from North Carolina. And I like to put a nice design so it's evenly spread and is presented. Next, we're going to reintroduce the striped bass, little nuggets of deliciousness. Now I'm going to add some really fresh mussels. They're all cleaned up and ready to go. They'll sit in there. You put them in opening up so they can kind of steam in their own juices. It's smelling great. Yeah, we're getting really close here. All right, the paella is getting close to done. At this point, listen really carefully. I can hear it start to crackle and crisp. The ideal is to have a little layer of kind of toasted rice on the bottom. Right now, I think it's about ready to go, so I'm going to turn off the heat, and I will be adding some piquillo pepper slices, and they add kind of a nice, sweet, tangy flavor. Again, these are not spicy. You can see that the shrimp is all cooked in the broth. The mussels they're open, so they're all ready to be eaten. And I like to let the paella sit for a few minutes, cool off, before you serve it to your guests. I'm going to add some lemons, adds kind of a nice pop of color, and for those who want to put a little lemon on their seafood, it's nice. I'm going to finish things off with a little sprinkle of parsley. Adds a nice color, another level of flavor. Oh, that looks great. Yeah, imagine bringing this to your table, showing all your friends and family. They're going to be really impressed, and it's going to be the start of a great meal. Now that the paella is ready, it's the moment we've been waiting for. We're going to serve these up. You can serve it on whatever dish you would like, but these are ceramic plates from the Puente de Arzobispo. And we're going to add a little bit of alioli, garlic sauce to it, adds another level of richness. All right, I can't wait to try it. That's delicious. You have such a nice variety of flavors, you know, the shrimp, the fish, the mussels, and then the star, which is the rice that absorbed all those flavors. You can see that the grains are all separate. So delicious, so much fun to make, and it's such a great thing to share. I hope you get a chance to make a delicious paella and share it with your family at home.